Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. I'd like today to talk about Parashat Bahalotecha. Parashat Bahalotecha starts off with Hashem telling Aaron Cohen, you are going to light the Menora in the Beit HaMikdash. And asks Rashi, why does this Parsha of Bahalotecha, of the lighting of the Menora in the Beit HaMikdash, why is that written straight after the Parsha of the setting up, the Chanukat HaMishkan? What's the connection between the two, says Rashi? Rashi answers a very surprising answer which we need to understand. When Aaron Cohen saw all the great things that were going on when the Mishkan was being set up, the great processions and the great services that were going on, and he saw that neither him nor his family, the Kohanim, had anything to do with it. Chol Shadaita, says Rashi. He suddenly was very upset. How can that be that I don't have anything to do with this tremendous thing of setting up the Mishkan for HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Said HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Aaron Cohen, don't worry, Aaron Cohen. Yours is greater than theirs. Your portion is greater than everybody else's. Why? Because you're going to light the menorah. What's so great about lighting the menorah? Aaron Cohen is doing everything. He's bringing all the sacrifices. He's going into the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur to be mechaper for Kol Am Yisrael. And this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give him as a nechama, as to make him feel better. That don't worry, you're going to light the menorah. What's so great about lighting the menorah? Asks the Ramban. How is this going to be a nechama for Aaron Cohen? We have to understand, what is the menorah? What is the great thing about the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan? That 7 armed light that the Kohen lights up. 6 and 1 in the middle. What's so great about it? There's a medrash that tells us that Am Yisrael are speaking to HaKadosh Baruch, and they're saying, well, you asked us to light up the menorah. You're the light of the world. You need us to light up the menorah. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Jewish people, no, of course I don't need you to light the menorah for me. I don't need you to do that for me. But I want the whole world to see how you, the Jewish people, are making that effort to light things up for me, to give me something back. That's the purpose of the Jewish people, to be a light to the nations, to show the nations how to serve Hashem and the greatness of Hashem. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want the whole world to see you lighting the menorah, that as if you're lighting it up for me. Carries on the Medrash to say, it's like a blind person and a seeing person, that all the time they're walking, it's the seeing person who's guiding the blind person. And now suddenly they get to a dark cave or a dark house, and the seeing person says to the blind person, you now go in and light the menorah for me. And light a light up for me. Here's a chance for you to give back to me what I've been giving over to you in some small way. Yeah, I could also go in and light a light for myself. But I'm asking you to do it so that you have a chance to give me something back for all the things I've been doing for you. That's what the Medrash says. From here, we can start understanding the idea of the menorah. The menorah is kaviochel, it's like we are lighting something up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu back something. Hakoros hatov. We're recognizing the good that Hashem has done for us, and we're now trying to give him something small back. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the whole world to see, that the Jewish people is trying to do somehow to give back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let's try and understand a bit more now about Hakoras HaTov, about this important midah, this important thing of recognizing the good that people are doing for you. In Pirkei Avot, the Mishnah says, what is the good way that we should try and make sure that we go in? Eizehu derech. Eizehu derech yeshorash yidabek bo ha'adam. What's the straight way? What's the best midah that people should stick to? We can't do all the midot tovot. So, says the Mishnah here that we should be choosing one and stick to that, and that's going to help us to develop to be good in everything. So what's the first thing that the Mishnah says? Rabbi Yeshua says, Chaver Tov. That means be a good friend to someone. Pick someone, one person, and be a really good friend to them. A really good friend helps his friends, gives them good advice, helps them out whenever they can. Be a good friend to one person, and that'll help you to improve all your midot. That's what Rabbi Yeshua is saying. Rabbi Yossi comes along and says, no, shochen tov, be a good neighbor. What's the difference between being a good neighbor and being a good friend? Rabbeinu Yonah explains, when you're being a good neighbor, be a good neighbor to a few people. Choose 5 or 6 neighbors and be really specially good to them. That'll teach you to be good to everybody and to improve all your midot. That's the best thing to do, he says. Rabbi Shimon says, no. Haroeh et hanolad. That's the best thing. The roeh et hanolad means you think ahead of everything that's going to come out of things that you're doing. Every time you do an action, you think about all the possible results that can come out of it to make sure that they're good results. That, he says, is the best way to go. Rebbe Eliezer says, Leiv Tov. What does Leiv Tov mean? Have a good heart. It means be patient. Don't get angry with people. Be a patient person. Don't get upset. That's what it means to have a Leiv Tov. And if you do that, then that'll help you to improve all your midas. Work on that one particular thing. And Amar lahem roeh ani, I see things. Rebbe Eliezer has said the most important thing. Rebbe Eliezer is the one who said that the most important thing is a Leiv Tov. Now let's look at the opposite. Let's look at the things that we're supposed to keep away from. Su'ezu derech ra. What's the bad way that we should all keep away from? Rebbe Eliezer omer, ayin ra. Ayin ra, to have a bad eye. That's the opposite of ayin tov. Of leiv tov, sorry. Rabbi Yeshua omer chavera, that you should be a bad friend to people. That's not good. Rabbi Yossi omer shochen ra, that you should be a bad neighbor. That's the worst thing to keep away from. Don't be a bad neighbor to people. And Rabbi Shimon says, halova ve'ena mishalim, that the thing you must keep away from is being someone who's going to take a loan and not pay the loan back. Whether you borrow from a person or whether you borrow from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. As it says in Tehillim, lo v'rosha v'lo yishalem. That someone who doesn't pay his debts is considered as a rosha. Now this is a surprising answer, because as I said, and then of course, Rabbi Eliezer goes on to say, Levra is the terrible thing that you should keep away. All of them are saying the opposite, apart from what Rabbi Shimon said it would seem. Rabbi Shimon said that the thing that you should try and do is to be haroeh et hanolad, to see what's coming, to think about the repercussions of all your actions. And when he says what you should keep away from, he says what you should keep away from is being a loba v'lo mishalim, borrowing money and not paying it back. We all know that that's a terrible thing to do. The surprising thing about what Rabbi Shimon is saying here is that everyone else in the Mishnah said the opposite of what they said before. How did Rabbi Shimon say the opposite? And more than that, he's talking about a specific aveira, not to repay your loans. Whereas all the others were talking about a general way of behaving. Why did he do that? The answer is he didn't. When he says, don't be a lover v'lo mishalim, don't be someone who borrows money and doesn't pay his debts, what he means is, don't deny the good that people have done for you. When someone does you that favor of lending you money when you're in need, make sure you pay them back. Don't be a lover rosha v'lo yishalim. Don't be someone who's going to borrow money and not pay it back. Be makir toiv. Recognize the good that people are doing for you. When people do you good, be makir the tov. That is what you must be careful to do and not to do. And not to recognize the good. That's what Rabbi Shimon has come to say to us. Be someone who recognizes the good. When people do you favors, remember that. Be makir tov, hakarat tov. And now we can understand the opposite. Haroet hanolad. Haroet hanolad means you should see what's coming if you don't. Right? If you're not going to return good that people do for you, then it's not going to be good for you. That, from here we see the importance of being makir tov, of recognizing the good that people are doing for you and making sure that you recognize the good and you give them back the good. That's the importance. One of the most important things if someone wants to improve his midas is to be makir tov, is to recognize the good that people do for you and to in some way try and give them back. That's the great thing about the Menora in the Beit HaMikdash. The Menora is in some small way the Jewish people trying to give something back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He lights up the world for us. He's lit up everything for us. We're going to try in some small way and light something up for him. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do so that the whole world will see that this is the purpose of the Jewish people, right? So that the whole world will see how we are making this effort to give something back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This leads me on to what I always consider to be the most important halacha in the whole of Shulchan Aruch. In all the Arba Chilkei Shulchan Aruch, there's one halacha that, in my opinion, is the most important. And it's in Choshen Mishpat, in the halachas of lost property. And the halacha goes like this. What happens if you're walking down the street and you see your lost property and the lost property of your father? And they're both big cases and you can't return both. You can only save one of them. Yours or your father's? What do? Do you have to save your father's, or do you save yours and leave your father's, which is going to go to waste? It's going to be lost. Says the Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to save yours. You come first in everything. In halacha, you come first. But, says the Shulchan Aruch, and here's probably the only time that the Shulchan Aruch tells us musar. He says, but don't do that all the time. Because if you do that all the time, then that means you're never going to be doing any chesed. You're never going to be helping out other people. You're never going to be makir tov to other people. Because doing chesed to other people, being makir tov to other people, means that you don't come first. It means that you don't come first. If you have to help somebody else, you see, you're on the way to work, and you see a little old lady that needs to be helped across the road. What do you do now? Do you stop and you're going to be late for work and you might lose some very good business? You might miss some phone calls and some orders. Your boss might get upset with you and angry. You might have some money taken off your salary. Or do you stop and help this little old lady to cross the road? The halacha is you're allowed to go on straight to work. You can leave her. Leave the little old lady with the bags to try and cross the road by herself. You don't have to. You're not obligated to stop and help her. But, says the Shulchan Aruch, don't do that. You have to do chesed. If you don't do chesed, ro'eh tanolad, what's going to happen in the future? No one's going to ever look after you. And you'll be left that you need other people's favors and no one will ever want to help you. So always remember, says the Shulchan Aruch, and it comes from this chapter in Pirkei Avot, always remember that don't be a lover rosha v'lo yishalem. People have done you good, people have done you favors, make sure you pay them back. In some small way, even with a very, very small little thing. And says Reb Shimon, that is the way to start fixing all your midot. That's the way to perfecting yourself, to becoming a perfect person. First, make sure that you recognize the good that everyone is doing for you. That is the tremendous importance of lighting the menorah. That's why the nechama that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Aaron HaKohen is that you're going to light the menorah. That's why that's better than all the korbanos. That's better than going liflai v'nifnim into the Kodesh HaKadoshim on Yom Kippur and to be mechaper for all Am Yisrael. That's kavod. But lighting the menorah, that's in some way being hamakir tov to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all the good that He does us. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're going to enjoy all our shiurim. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Click that notification button. And I also want to say that if you have questions that you'd like me to deal with in these shiurim on YouTube, then please send them in. I think you can either write them in the comments below. If you have any other comments, I'd also like to hear them. And if you have questions, you can always send them to me and I will deal with them. My mail is dayan.cohen@gmail.com, and my website is going to be up in the next few days, but if I can go there and have a look. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. And as I said, our mission here is going to make Judaism and Halacha especially relevant and easy to understand for everybody. So join us in this. So as I said, anyone has any halachic questions, especially about Dinei Momnus, but also about anything else, you can send them in, and I'll try and deal with them in later on videos. Like I said, at the moment I'm putting up videos on Parshat Shavua. Later on, we're going to start putting up videos on questions and answers in cases in Choshei Mishpat, and any daily questions that people might have. So stay with us, join us, and enjoy. Have a great day, everybody.